Every bite of delicious garden vegetable is made of sunlight. This is part 3 of the Frequently Asked Questions video series, and today we're answering the question, how much sunlight do my plants need? In honor of that, I am wearing a yellow shirt again. I wanted to wear a different color shirt, but we're talking about sunlight. And everybody who has ever seen a child's drawing knows that the sun is yellow and it smiles really, really big. Welcome back, casual gardeners. We're going to talk about the different light conditions that are needed in the garden and which plants do best under which conditions. Sunlight is the energy plants need to turn atmospheric carbon dioxide into sugar. And then they do all sorts of funky stuff to that sugar to make it into plant parts. You know, photosynthesis. Too little sunlight can result in stunted growth, pale leaves, enlarged leaves, few flowers, and little or no fruit on our crops. On the other hand, too much sunlight can result in scorched leaves, stressed and wilting plants, and sometimes bitter flavors. I'm looking at you, lettuce. So a big part of a gardener's job is making sure that our plants are getting enough, but not too much, sunlight. You'll notice that most of what we grow needs full sun, but what is full sun and how do you know you've got it? An area in a garden that gets full sun gets at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight on average every day. So you can get more sunlight, of course, and still have full sun. Now, if you live in a climate like mine, it's not going to be as important for you to get full sun in the winter because things aren't growing in the winter. But also, if you are positioning a greenhouse, you're going to want to make sure that that is going to get full sun in the winter as well. Direct sunlight is sunlight that isn't blocked by anything or isn't filtered by anything. Dappled sunlight does not count as direct sunlight, and full sun is only that period of time that you are getting direct sunlight in your garden patch. Now, this can be any period of 6 to 8 hours of unobstructed sun. So if you get 4 hours of unobstructed sun in the morning and then another 3 hours in the afternoon, that can still count as full sun for that patch in your garden, even though it's not all at once. Your plants won't care as long as it's all on the same day. Other sun hours. Afternoon sun can be a lot harder on a lot of plants because that's happening during the hotter part of the day. So the plants may already be stressed. Their photosynthesis might actually be shutting down because it's too hot. Heat actually slows down photosynthesis in some plants because they can't move that water through their leaves that they have to. So it's actually better to get your full sun earlier in the day rather than later in the day if you want to get optimal growth in your garden. We don't live in a black and white world, and our gardens reflect that. We can categorize how much shade an area gets, and those categories can help us figure out what plants we can grow there. So part sun and part shade are both terms that reflect the different ends of a spectrum. So you have part sun or part shade if you're getting between 3 and 6 hours of direct sun every day. Usually if somebody says part sun, they mean you're closer to the 6-hour end of that spectrum. And if they say part shade, they mean closer to the 3-hour end of the spectrum. But there's a little bit of wiggle room in that. It's not a technical thing, it's just how gardeners talk. Part sun in the morning is way better than part sun in the afternoon for, reasons we already discussed. Full shade isn't like a dark alley. There's still plenty of light in a full shade situation. What we're referring to is that none of that light is direct sunlight. You're getting like less than 3 hours of direct sunlight in that spot every day. But there can still be a lot of filtered light or ambient reflected light that is there for your plants to use in full shade. Now, how shady your full shade is going to determine what you can grow in that shade. There are plants that can go darker than full shade, Most of them are houseplants. For example, my Phalaenopsis, or moth orchid, is perfectly happy to never see any sunlight hit its leaves ever. It is a tropical understory plant. Most of our houseplants actually are from the tropics, where the canopy of the trees is so thick that it's pretty dark underneath, and they've adapted to that darkness. So how do you know? How do you know how much sun your garden is getting? Sometimes it's really obvious. Like if you're getting sun all the time, you can just say, "Yep, that's full sun," and you probably don't have to check anything. But there are a lot of situations where it may not be so clear, and luckily for us, there are methods we can use to determine how much sun we're getting. Now, back in the olden days, before the advent of smartphones, we usually just mapped the shadows in our gardens. So 3 times a day, once in the morning, once around noon, and once in the evening, we would go out and we would say, okay, right now this area is in sun, right now this area is in shade, and we would pay attention to that. And it would give us an idea over time of where we have full sun, where we have part sun, and where we have shade. But luckily, we don't have to do that anymore because we have smartphones, and smartphones are almost as magic as organic matter in the soil. So the smartphone method of determining how much sun you get is going to be actually really precise. Set a timer on your smartphone, so around an hour after dawn, and then every hour through the day until an hour before sunset. Every time that timer goes off, go out to your garden and take a picture of your garden with your smartphone. And then that will allow you to compile exactly, you can count how many hours of shade every spot in your garden is getting from that, and you don't have to guess. I would recommend doing that once in the spring or fall, and then once in the summer, because different seasons are going to have different sun angles and could influence how much sun your garden patch gets during different seasons. Once you know how much sun your garden's getting, it's time to figure out which plants you can grow. That's the fun part. Now, with very few exceptions, most of the plants that we grow in a garden for eating are going to need full sun. There are exceptions though, and we're going to talk about those. So if you're growing tomatoes or potatoes or eggplants or peppers, if you're growing cabbages, if you're growing beans, squash, melons, all of that is going to do best in full sun. And that also is going to include most of the fruit trees. The one exception I can think of off the top of my head is the pawpaw tree, which is a North American native. A young pawpaw tree needs to be shaded or else it'll get a lot of sun scald as it grows. But once it's mature enough to start bearing fruit, that tree is going to do better with the full sun anyway. A lot of our leafy green crops do well in part sun, and they may even produce better in part sun. I think lettuce is an excellent example of that. In most of the parts of the world where they grow lettuce year round, they're going to be growing it under shade cloth because too much sunlight is what triggers our little lettuce plants to bolt and go to seed. So if you want to grow lettuce over the summer, you're actually going to need to filter a lot of its light. This keeps it cooler and it keeps it from going to seed. So good examples of part sun plants are going to be lettuce, spinach, all of your mustard greens, kale, and chard. There are not a lot of edible plants that will produce in full shade. If you want to try, you can do mint, rhubarb, you can try currants, maybe gooseberries would be worth a try. Those are all things that might make food in full shade for you. If it's on the bright end of full shade, you might try some loose leaf lettuce. But there are a ton of really awesome ornamental plants that we can grow in full shade. Ferns, coleus, hostas, some species of iris. I've had really great luck with Sweet William in full shade, and that's gorgeous. It's a wonderful little dianthus. So there's a lot you can do with full shade, just not a lot you can eat from full shade. Even full sun plants can get too much sun though. Here in Logan, Utah, we're about 4,000 feet up, so the atmosphere is a little bit thinner over us. I was talking to a Utah State University horticulturalist who was working out in a research garden. They have research gardens. It's really awesome. And he told me that the only plant that they were growing that doesn't benefit from some shading during the summer is tomatoes. Everything else, including peppers, does better with a little bit of shade because we've got a lot of unfiltered sun here. So if you're seeing sun scald damage on your leaves or fruit, you might be getting too much of that sweet, sweet sunlight, and it might be a good idea to tone it down. Now, my old garden had actually a hedge of tall shrubs and trees along the west side of the garden. So in the evening, I would just naturally get shaded, and it was pretty amazing. It's really easy to make a shade structure out of bent PVC pipe, and then you can just drape some shade cloth over it. 30 to 40% shade cloth is probably fine. You just need to make it tall enough that you're not squishing your plants. You can put that on in the summer. I would not recommend it in the spring or in the fall. Those are times of year when the sun is at a lower angle and it's already passing through more of the atmosphere for that light to reach your plants anyway. Also, we'd rather our soil stay warmer in the spring and the fall so that we get faster growth. But during the summer, when there's already plenty of heat, a lot of plants can benefit from the judicious application of shade cloth. What's your favorite crop to grow in the shade? Let me know down in the comments, especially if it's one that I didn't mention. I think most gardeners are concerned about too little rather than too much sunlight, so you could be helping somebody out. Make sure to like this video if you found it useful or entertaining, or preferably both. And make sure you're subscribed to my channel because we are just getting started on a epic series of frequently asked garden questions, and it's going to go for a while. You don't want to miss any. Now, if you have any questions about gardening, drop them in the comments because you can frequently ask your own questions and I'll answer them. You're doing us both a favor. You get your answer. I get to cheat and have someone else think of what kind of content I have to do for me. Thank you so much for joining me here in my garden today. I hope you have a wonderful time in your own garden.